10, 9, ignition sequence start, 6.
Hello, and welcome to Rocket Fuel, your daily update of everything that's happening in the Rocket Pool community. My name is Whack. Today is January 31st, and we're going to get started here with a bi-weekly update. So it feels like it's been a while since we've had one of these. I don't know if it feels like it's been a long time, but then again, I can't believe it's the end of January already. But anyway, here's the bi-weekly update for yesterday. So here Maverick published this, and he says that the protocol it declined. So the rETH supply declined by 1%, so down to 562,000, which is an annualized decline of 29%. Pending active validator mini pool count is minus 0.2%, which is annualized decline of 5%, and node operator increased 0.8%, which is annualized growth of 20%. So with these numbers, they're kind of flat. I know that in like TradFi companies or something, if they said something had an annualized decline of like 29%, that would be disastrous. But in reality, the numbers for Rocket Pool here are quite flat, which I kind of expected to hit this kind of plateau at the moment. There's a lot of things that are coming up, Houston and especially NodeSet, I think in the next 3 or 4 months, that hopefully will be able to make a big impact on those numbers. But in general, we seem to go through these periods of being in the plateau and then getting a bump and then a plateau and a bump. And also with eigenlayer being increased in next week on the 5th, I think their cap will be lifted. We might be getting some more rETH minting happening there as well. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on there. With the smart node, we had version 1.11.6 that we already talked about here, that had updates for Nethermind and Lodestar, and then an update on the roadmap was shared with the plans for the rest of the year. And then there was rapid research incubator analysis going on as well. With governance, there was a bounty raised for the SSV divETH integration. And then with the oDAO, members can now cast their vote on RPIP 37. We're going to talk about that next. And here there was some discussion around a poll for the GMC to fund an audit of Rocket Split that I talked about yesterday, and a summary of Rapid Research Incubator that was posted to the governance forum, and with committee selected as well. And then the latest IMC documentation was available, and Ken dropped down from the GMC and was replaced by Dr. Doofus. The GMC's round 8 results were available as well. And then we have a whole bunch of integrations. Here we have 2 liquid restaking protocols now support rETH, and also we have new DEXs and exchanges supporting RPL and rETH, and those include Arc Digital, Integral HQ, and then the Rocket Pool intern shared a couple of those as well. And there's a new stablecoin that we're going to talk about later as well, that's using rETH as collateral. That's flat money, 0x flat money. And with media marketing, there were issues with the X account that I'm going to talk about later as well. And then there's information about ETH Denver. So that has now been confirmed that Rocket Pool will have a presence at ETH Denver. The liftoff side event has also been approved. The GMC announced funding for that yesterday, and that's already getting tickets and everything is going out. Call for tickets and volunteers and stuff is going out for that as well. And then there's a lot of discussion about staking client diversity, with Rocket Pool node operators being viewed favorably due to relatively high minority client usage. And that was Pat's tweet that he shared. And a lot of content was created about rETH and RPL DeFi opportunities. And this was stuff from Jasper, Beefy Finance, Equilibria, Dolomite Intern, and Pendle Intern put those out as well. There was an airdrop announcement for people who use rETH or other LSTs with eigenlayer. That was AltLayer. And then there was a panel with Staking Circle, and Mav joined the discussion of that as well. So if you want to delve into any of those topics, you're welcome to go to the bi-weekly and follow the links for each of those areas of discussion. One of those areas of discussion was RPIP 37 vote, which we covered a few days ago. I'm covering it today just to give you an update of where we stand with the vote right now. So currently we have 3,900 votes out of 7,400 votes that we need to reach quorum. Of that, we have 3,400 people voting yes, 336 votes against, and 197 votes that are abstaining currently. If we have a look, we can see that I am currently the biggest vote holder who has voted. We haven't seen votes from Valdorf or Joe yet. However, some of the other bigger voting delegates and people with voting power have voted. So we have Ramana, who has voted for this, saying it's good to be explicit about this. Ken voted for this. Knoshua voted against this, saying for discussion and explanation, see the forum thread. And then Fornax voted for this. Dookie voted for this, and then others as well. So that's pretty interesting that, those it's not quite as one-sided as some of the votes tend to be, but it's good that we're getting close to quorum. We just need a couple of other big voters to vote, and we'll have quorum. And we've got until February the 12th to get this through, so I'm not too worried about that. Okay, going back to the Twitter account now. So recently, there was some talk on Twitter yesterday, the day before, about how the account was posting materials again, showing it was compromised, and people were kind of upset about it, saying that this is not cool, and why hasn't Rocket Pool, the team gotten control of their Twitter account back? And Dave kind of responded to that, saying, giving a bit of a explanation of what was going on. So he says, as you all know, our Twitter account, Rocket Pool, was compromised recently. To give an honest and open approach as usual, we are posting a full post-mortem timeline of events, and we're happy to let everyone draw their own conclusions. As a little recap from my post a week ago, so 2FA hardware was set up, has been for years, only used app-based authentication with 2FA, no phone numbers to avoid SIM swapping. The password was of great complexity and only used for Twitter. We haven't had any emails from Twitter about suspicious login attempts, changes to any account details or anything like that, and Twitter support has been the worst we've ever come across. Read the timeline below for details. So then there's a link to the timeline, but it's a little bit easier to read it here on Jasper's tweets. So Jasper tweeted saying, Rocket Pool Twitter is still compromised. Twitter is dog shit. The Rocket Pool devs have graciously offered up chats so that people can see how bad the situation is. And this post has 206 likes, 64 retweets, a whole bunch of comments, and 51,000 views. There's gotten a whole lot of eyes on it. So here, let's start with prologue, and then on the 11th of January is when they first got locked out of their accounts, but there were no suspicious posts happening at that point. And then they started verifications, and the first case was submitted that same day, and then the following day Twitter closed the case, saying that it says case submission number 1 to Twitter, email from our accounts, and the next day they closed the case in less than 24 hours, stating, we're writing to let you know that we've been unable to verify you as the account owner. We know this is disappointing to hear, but we can't assist you further with accessing your account. You're more than welcome to create a new account to get back onto X. And then in the afternoon, on the same day, they put another case through, saying this time adding what additional information will be needed to get that account back. And they replied again the following day, saying the case is closed again. And then such a joke, right? And then the following day again, they put another case through with a whole collection of evidence, showing that they had access to the bank statements, and they had the credit card used to pay for the Twitter Blue, and a whole bunch of other things, as well as evidence that they were the people who owned the account. And then they received a reply back saying that the case had been closed again. And then they submitted the case to Twitter again the 4th time, and then that was also denied on the same day. So that takes us up to Wednesday the 16th. And then number 5, they submitted the same amount of evidence again, and they had irrefutable evidence that account was theirs. That was on the 17th. Then on the 18th, the person who had taken over the account started posting spam tweets. So almost a week later, and then at this point, they submitted a case number 6 to Twitter, urgently submitted updates to our case from the day before on the 17th. It was plain as day to see the account has been taken over, and then they again updated them number 7 to Twitter, showing like more information, whatever they could find, basically show that that was theirs. They received communication, and then that would have been easy check. And then in that time, they got communication from a known white hat or grey hat, I guess technically should be. He says, we received communication from a known white hat that's contacted Twitter for a price. This contact can escalate the situation with Twitter. You pay 3 ETH and immediately to this person to get it resolved. We would never pay for something like this out of principle, but anyone could have fallen to these scam tweets and lost more anytime. So speed is a priority, so we don't have any regrets about that. So it says spam tweets start getting removed, but the account is still locked out. And then they were still like locked out of the account. So then the account gets locked, but they leave a pinned scam post on top of the account. So it's just, yeah. And then a week later on the 24th, so after a case investigating and leaving a scam pin post for a whole week, they restore our account so the team gets the account back. And they note that third-party apps and accounts have been removed as a precaution. And then they change the password, re-enable a hardware-based 2FA, and log out of all sessions. And then on the 31st, another week later, so this was yesterday, in Australia time, so on the 30th in Eastern time, the scam posts start happening again, and there've been 0 emails of any suspicious logins, password resets, or anything of that nature. And the login still works from the team, just like unlike the first time. So they quickly removed the spam post when they could, and check the account delegates, a feature that allows third-party accounts to post on the account on behalf. Lo and behold, there's an account to be found there, x.com/LordPeter_ETH. So someone had been given access as a third party to this account that was not from the team or anyone involved with the team, and that account was just created on that same day. And then they tried to get then the account gets locked by Twitter, locked the team out of the account, and it says that it requires a password reset, and they request using the account's email address and verified account owner. So then they attempt the password reset, but then it says that their email address that the team has cannot be found. So it was like a huge mess. Then they submit another case number 8 to Twitter, saying we again update them with screenshots and more evidence. And yeah. He says, at this point, we will allow everyone to draw their own conclusions based on the above. An account that had no warnings of strange logins, details being changed at all with hardware 2FA enabled. We have no evidence of anything else that might indicate a failure on the team's behalf. It's been very frustrating and an eye-opening experience. Given the above, the absolutely horrendous support offered by Twitter, we will be strongly considering removing our account from Twitter and starting a new account on another platform to be mentioned soon. So just like I've been talking about Farcaster on Rocket Fuel for the last few days, it seems like the Rocket Pool team might be officially migrating to Farcaster also. Not that they mentioned it, that's just my speculation, but at this point I wouldn't blame them. Like, it seems like Twitter has been absolute clusterfuck, basically, pardon my language. So then people started commenting, saying that maybe there's malware on someone's phone, maybe there's some issues. And then here Plum says that I can get you in touch with someone at Twitter and I won't charge 3 ETH for it. I said Twitter is fucking garbage. Pat says it's awful. Wit Economist says previously you had to bribe Twitter employees to get a blue check mark. This has now been fixed. Now you have to bribe the staff to get your account to work. And then Nicola, who works with DeFi Saver, says every day I say a little prayer that the DFS Twitter doesn't get compromised and other things. So there's a whole lot of people kind of like understanding this, and people calling Twitter garbage and saying it's trash and tagging Elon Musk and saying like what's going on. So it's a really, really bad experience that the team has had, and I feel really bad that this has happened, and especially that people have lost money because of this. It's absolutely horrendous. So then people started talking about it in Discord about like what it means to, who's at fault, like what happened here. So, Owlage, who was Carnage before, says, well, so it's an inside job, and Invis says, No, it's just that Twitter security is that shit. The admin console got compromised multiple times shortly after Elon took over. What makes you believe that nobody got access since? It's almost like the security team got fired. Imagine believing for a second that scam accounts are buying the checkmark and not just using exploit to get it. And then there's people like kind of making suggestions and kind of trying to gather ideas. So Scuzzle says support instantly closing all cases points towards an inside job to me, but definitely not conclusive. And then there was just some more discussion about kind of how this was happening and how it was really bad. Valdorf had some information saying that the Twitter cut 80% of staff. Some reports claim trust and safety team got reduced to less than 20 people. Might be less cover up and more. The only way to handle this many tickets is to close them without reading them. So it's really bad. It's like really bad over there. Absolutely horrendous. Okay, and then there was some discussion that kind of went on for quite a while, back and forth. Like it was the thing that people were talking about like pretty much the whole day. And then Knoshua was saying that, I get the interaction with Twitter support has been horrible, but this isn't a post-mortem. That's like, because Dave kind of called it a post-mortem of sorts in the protocol post. He says this was a post-mortem, nothing on how the account got compromised after having a serious issue with Discord last year, no certainty back then either. So Dave said this is absolutely a post-mortem event so far regarding Twitter. Last year's Discord incident happened like many at a time due to a session hijacking, which was resolved quickly thanks to Mav. Obviously, this was far more than that. Please don't trivialize things. We've been extremely open. And then there was just a little bit of back and forth between Knoshua and Dave about like what's like the semantics of it. But then they were kind of comparing, the fact that the Twitter got hacked last year and like that was pretty much a session hijacking, which was then resolved quite easily. This was much more complicated than that. And you can go and read their back and forth by following the links in the description below. Okay, so then this kind of like continued on with the whole conversation. And like, Knoshua was talking about the fact that the team like hasn't really listened to him. And he says repeatedly, so he was talking to Bud actually about some stuff. And he says, basically, he was saying that Langers was ignoring him. He says, Langers ignoring me online is enough for me. I don't need to experience in person. But this is interesting because Langers said, I'm not trying to ignore you. I think I made quite an effort to engage with you. Would love to meet in real life. Liftoff is a good chance to talk and I respect your opinion. So it'd be good to hear from you personally. If not, no pressure from me. And then this is the main point I want to recover, where Invis says, it's been a year since I posted my oDAO research and I still haven't heard from you. So I covered Noshua's oDAO research and like his suggestions for how to reform the oDAO on Rocket Fuel last year, and he's insinuating that Langers never talked to him about it. And Langers replied by saying, because you were talking to Kane, I read the research and we've been talking internally a lot about how we could incorporate elements. I'm sorry that I missed the post on the forum, but I thought our engagement through Kane was giving it good attention. My apologies for not interacting personally on it. The idea is to pick up more of the oDAO stuff in Saturn, which we have only just started scoping. And then Knoshua says, I talked to Kane only about the idea related to utilizing optimistic Merkle routes and forward proofs to get around data constraints. For example, I've also had ideas related to rate limiting oDAO penalties and rETH rate updates. I posted proof of concepts for those, and it would have been very doable for Houston. I never heard from anyone on the team on those. As far as I can tell, it was never looked at. So Langer says Houston scope was very tight, but you may be right. From now on, feel free to DM me if you want to poke me. I don't always follow everything on the forum. It's crazy how much content this community creates. Yeah, I know. Tell me about it, Langers. Anyway, then he says, tag me for comment and let me know in DMs. I wasn't ignoring you. I just wasn't aware. I'm glad you're on the ideation review panel. That's for the tokenomics changes for Saturn. And he says, I think we can do some good work on looking at the future of Rocket Pool. DM me these ideas. It's perfect timing. So thankfully, it seems like some of the bridges are being rebuilt that might have been like knocked down between Knoshua and the team. And I'm really hoping that everyone can kind of work together and utilize like each other's skills, because it's a shame that that stuff hasn't been like implemented and worked on before. Okay, Schifrin put out a tweet thread where he talked about the summary of the GMC's actions for a wider audience. So he says in round 8, the Rocket Pool Grants Committee received 19 applications. They approved funding for 13 applications totaling $234,403. Notable applications include funding of EigenLayer integration and the development of a staking as a service platform. And then here it says the GMC approved 5 grants, 3 boundaries, and 5 retrospective awards. The GMC deferred, so they'll be voting in the next round on 3 grants. And the GMC declined, said thank you but no thank you to 3 grants as well. But if you got a thank you but no thank you, that doesn't mean that the GMC never wants to hear from you again. It just means that the GMC maybe your it doesn't quite fit what we want, and maybe you can change it and make it fit better with Rocket Pool and come back to us. Okay, here we got a nice little shout out for Waldorf on the Daily Gwei today. The Daily Gwei, of course, being Anthony Cesano's daily Ethereum news show. And on this segment of today's episode, which is timestamped in the description below, you can see that he was talking about the new tokenomics changes that we just mentioned a few minutes ago, and the changes that might be coming in the Saturn 1, most likely Saturn 2 upgrade, and the changes that will be happening with Rocket Pool. And Anthony Cesano especially focused on the idea that we might be getting RPL-less validators that people will be able to run using some of Waldorf's ideas here. So that was pretty exciting that people in the wider Ethereum space are starting to understand that pretty interesting changes are on the verge of happening with Rocket Pool. This I keep saying that 2024 and early 2025 is going to be a really exciting time for Rocket Pool. We'll have Houston, of course, which is going to make Rocket Pool even more decentralized. Then we're going to have a node set going live, which is like a layer 2 scaling solution on top of Rocket Pool. And then towards the beginning of the second half of the year, like Q3 potentially, we'll have Saturn 1, and then potentially Q4, but much more likely Q1 of next year we'll have Saturn 2. So all of that is just going to be amazing to see. I really think these next 15 months or so are going to be amazing for Rocket Pool. I'm so excited. But the fact that Anthony Cesano's already kind of capturing, getting onto this idea of changing Rocket Pool's design, the protocol design, is really encouraging that it's going to capture a lot of attention this year. Okay, next we have a new DeFi protocol that we mentioned in the bi-weekly update. This is a post from Brave New DeFi. So this is a person working with Flat Money. So here they say, hey everyone, I'm working with Flat Money, which is a protocol launching the first decentralized Delta neutral flat coin backed by Rocket Pool's rETH and built on Base. This is, we've been working with the IMC to boost incentives on the rETH, wETH, BLP on Base. I wanted to share some updates about that effort and some wider updates about Flat Money. So here, he went on to say, working with the IMC to boost incentives. It says Flat Money is providing matching funds to increase incentives with the hope we can get more rETH, wrapped ETH liquidity in that pool ahead of Flat Money's launch early March. Next week, we'll be launching Flat Money Early Depositives Vault on Toros, where people can deposit up to $10 million in USDC and earn yield ahead of our base launch on Base. Now, when we do launch the USDC in that vault, will be swapped for rETH and deposited into the Flat Money protocol, which is why we want to boost liquidity in the balancer pool ahead of March. That's pretty exciting. So this is the timing, hopefully. March might be a little bit too soon, but hopefully NodeSet might be able to take advantage of some of that rETH demand right there. So this is when we do launch the USDC in that vault, will be swapped for rETH, then deposit back, and we need more rETH on Base. So that's what they're trying to incentivize, to get a whole lot of rETH on Base so it can be used for that purpose. So that if you're interested in trying out the Flat Money protocol, our next testnet competition starts on February 5th, and you can mint Flat Money, which is the unit token, open long positions on rETH and get a feel of how the protocol works while earning Flat Money points. So you get points as well. So you can learn about Flat Money points, find a link to the docs and sign up for the testnet competition using the resources in this thread. And then there's a link to a tweet about that where they have, and then And then Brave New DeFi said that he's happy to answer any questions as well. So if you want to go and read that Twitter thread, you can find it in the post here. I'll tagged Kron because it sounded kind of spammy, but of course it's not. It's legit because they're working with the IMC. Like, this is like a real person. So there's their points, basically FMP is their point. So yeah, Brave New DeFi was here answering questions for quite a while. And just talking about their protocol and how they're incorporating rETH and how they're hoping to get decent size. And it's really cool that they are actually trying to get the word out, right, and trying to build rETH liquidity on Base. One of the really interesting things that Jasper pointed out, I'm sorry I don't have it linked, so I'm just trying to find it now, was that our Base, yeah, here it is. It says, Jasper says Base is actually one of the most engaged chains at the moment for the Rocket Pool community. So, we covered this on Rocket Fuel last week, where Valdorf was asking community members of what L2s do you like to use. So Arbitrum was number 1. OP mainnet was number 2, ZK Sync Era was number 3, and then Base was number 4, and then the number 5 was actually like quite a distance behind Base. So it seems like the community wants to use Base, the community has a presence on Base, and it's really exciting that the people want rETH on Base. I think it's just a great opportunity for rETH to grow in different spaces, and Flat Money, it seems like, are trying to work towards making that happen. So huge shout out to Flat Money. Of course, I have not been paid for making these statements. I have never used Flat Money. I've never tested anything by them. I don't have any personal incentives or anything to gain from talking about Flat Money today. I'm not getting any Flat Money points for this conversation, but it might be that I try to farm Flat Money by putting some USDC into their vaults once they open soon, just to get some points. Everybody wants points nowadays, so yeah, let's see what happens with that. Okay, and then Jasper kind of followed up with that, saying later, saying if anyone's interested, there's a complete list of lending opportunities for rETH. On ETH mainnet, you have Aave, Maker, Compound, Spark, Gravita, Prisma, Libra, Miso, Silo, Morpho, Ajna, Radiant, and Alchemex. And then on layer 2s, you have Aave, which are on Optimism and Arbitrum, Silo, which is an Arbitrum, Notional, which is an Arbitrum, TimeSwap, which is an Arbitrum, and Moonwell, which is also on Base. So there's a whole lot of places now that you can use rETH for borrowing and lending. So you will be able to add Flat Money to that soon as well, which is really cool. Okay, talking about DeFi integrations, here we have an update from Diva Staking. So Diva Staking are saying that the latest DAO vote has passed, and the Turbo divETH vault is being initiated, and then there's details here about how some finance are going to power that, basically. So that's proposal DIP 7 that was approved recently. And then the timeline here spans the next 365 days. The program rewards early and consistent participation. So what is it exactly? There's a vault here that you can use with rETH. So it says the rETH balancer pool token vault is set to adopt and grow with divETH, embracing dynamic strategies to benefit the ecosystem. So what will happen is that you will have a token for the balancer pool, and you will deposit that token into Diva. I don't fully understand the full mechanisms or the actual technicalities of the mechanism, and then that will kind of like be soft staked. In the meantime, you'll be earning Diva tokens. There's a certain point from which you'll start earning Diva tokens, and the earlier you were depositing your balancer tokens, the more points, the more tokens you'll actually earn, not points this time. Good job, Diva. And then what will happen is, once the Diva tokens go live and the divETH goes live, then the wrapped ETH in that pool, I think, will be swapped for the divETH. So it'll be a nice way for them to get good liquidity right away, but also it will help Rocket Pool's rETH at the same time, like incentivizing people to put that into this SOM vault as well. And then they're just talking about how some vote members included Fizz, myself, and others as well. So if you want to learn more about that, there's a Medium article that's linked in the Twitter thread, and there's also going to be a Twitter space hosted on February 1st at 4:30 p.m. UTC or 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time, if you are curious about hearing the details from the horse's mouth, as they say. Okay, next we had this question from Cheers that came up this morning, and he said, I know how to make a Gnosis safe and how to use it, but I have a safety question. To use Rocket Sweep app, you need a Gnosis safe. Is Gnosis safe more risky than a cold store wallet as your withdrawal address? So then people started talking about like how you set up a Gnosis safe and how you need like multiple wallets as signers. Ideally, you have two of three, so you have 3 wallets that have access to that safe, and you need any 2 of those to sign to make decisions. So even if you lose one wallet, like you still have access to the safe, you'd have to lose 2 wallets to lose access to the safe. So then people were talking about how it's more secure or not secure, and like the likelihood of it being compromised. And there's some really interesting discussions that kind of came up about how, those contracts are really solid and they're very well secured, and there's some of the biggest honeypots in all of crypto. And there's here Halululo says there's always a tiny chances of flaw in the contract, but Gnosis safes protect billions of dollars of the contracts are comparatively simple, probably the same level of risk as the beacon chain contract being exploited. So here he has some numbers. Halululo shares that there's $67 billion of ETH on the beacon chain, but there's $79 billion of assets in the safe accounts. So that just tells you that, the safe accounts, a whole lot of people are trusting those contracts with assets. And so far everything has been amazing, and hopefully it'll continue to be amazing, because that's a whole lot of money. Like even the GMC, we have our treasury in there. I know that the IMC has their stuff in vaults. A whole lot of people use the tap method, the three address method of having one hot wallet that you use for interacting with anything, one like semi-cold wallet, just like a regular hardware wallet, I guess a cold wallet where you just have money going in and out, and maybe you can interact with some trusted, it could be like your withdrawal address basically, potentially, or stuff that you might be using soon, you have that there. And then anything for long-term storage, you'll have that on a Gnosis safe, and you can keep that there for a long time. The only thing that you could do is put money in there and send money out of there. That's it, like nothing else. No app integrations, that to keep it as secure as possible. And those are kind of things that people have the idea of wallet management, and for that, then they say safe is really safe. So it's in the name, right? Okay, yesterday something really fun happened, and this happened just as I was recording the episode, so I wasn't able to include it in the episode yesterday, but there was a very large block that was put into the smoothing pool, and this was a block for 64.5 ETH, which is over $100,000, like $130,000, even more than $130,000. So the smoothing pool now is a very respectable amount. So in 10 days, it had 215 ETH deposited in there. Let's have a look at what it's looking like right now, just to have the most up-to-date numbers. Actually, I don't need to do that. No, it's not deposit pool smoothie. So the smoothing pool is currently, it has 226 ETH in 13 days. So it's just under 20 ETH a day, which is fantastic. That's actually a really nice return for the smoothing pool this month. So we've had a couple of big blocks, and there's still another 15 days to go. So hopefully, we can push 400, maybe 400 plus ETH. That would be very respectable. Anything above 500 is absolutely amazing. So let's see what the rest of this month brings. But being in the smoothing pool right now is pretty nice. Okay, and I'm going to finish today's episode with this news from like the Ethereum testing. And as you all know, the Dencun hard fork is being currently tested. Last week it was tested on Gurley, and yesterday it was tested on Sepolia. And here Beacon Chain put out some tweets about the lead up to the hard fork, and then like yesterday late afternoon, early evening, they said that the first blobs were available on Sepolia, and then Sepolia finalized as well. So it seems like, everything that has come out since then has been quite positive. There was an issue that I noticed, but it doesn't seem like anyone else noticed it, so maybe it wasn't really an issue. But it seems like, it was going through around 96% or no, sorry, 97 or 98%. But then at the moment of the hard fork, it kind of went down to 91, 92%, and then even down to 89%. So I'm not sure where that loss of, one in 10 pretty much proposals went, but no one's really mentioned it, so I don't think it's anything of a big deal. But the next hard fork now is the Haleshki hard fork, and that will be taking place in a week's time. And then the next one will be the main event, which is updating the hard fork Dencun on the Ethereum mainnet, which is really exciting. So I'm ready for that. It's going to be a really fun thing when that goes through. It's going to make everything on layer 2s maybe 10 times cheaper, which is absolutely tremendous. Sub-cent transactions, maybe even a sub-cent exchange, like swap fees on Uniswap and absolutely amazing stuff. So on that note, I'm going to say thanks all for watching, listening, and being part of the Rocket Fuel community. It's really cool that we're kind of carving out a little space on Farcaster. So I'm going to be posting episodes and stuff on there too. So if you want, you can give me a follow. It's warpcaster.com/whack. You can find me there. And yeah, I'll see you there. But of course, everywhere else as well, and on Rocket Fuel tomorrow. So have a lovely day, and thanks all for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.